9B Part 1 is linear modeling, and it's just reading some simple little problems and representing the information they give you as a linear equation. The basic stuff that you already know before you start this lesson is that rate of change is the same as slope. You know that you have this slope-intercept formula, slope-intercept form of a line where M stands for slope, B is the y-intercept. It's also the initial value. It's what you start with. You know, if you're given 2 points and you're asked to find slope, you use this formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's look at handout 9B Part 1 and look at a few of these problems. I'm going to give you the key. I'm going to email all this to you. So we're just going to skip around and look at a few of these to kind of remind you of what's going on. Number 1, write the meaning of slope for this problem. You know that you're looking at this line. On the x-axis you got time, on the y-axis you got distance traveled. Distance equals rate times time. Rate would equal distance divided by time. You know, this little formula right here, if you're going 30 miles an hour and you travel for 5 hours, you've gone 150 miles. So we could rearrange that a little bit. If we wanted to solve this for rate, we would divide both sides by t, and the rate would be the distance divided by the time. So if we want to find the rate, we can choose any 2 points on this line that we want to choose. I chose 2, 1000 for one of my points, and I chose 4, 2000 for my other point. If I want to find slope, I label these x1, y1 and x2, y2. Substitute these values into the slope formula. 2000 minus 1000 over 4 minus 2 is 1000 divided by 2, which is 500. This speed is 500 meters per second. 500 meters per second. The second one, notice that now this represents draining a swimming pool, and our slope is going to be negative because as we go from left to right, this line is going down. We started out with 2,000 gallons of water in this swimming pool, and we're going to drain it all, so we're going down to we have none. And they want to know at what rate is that draining out. Choose any 2 points you want to choose. I chose 0, 2000. That's this beginning point. And then I chose 200, 0, 200 minutes. And there's 0 water left in there. I substituted these values into the slope formula to see the rate at which that water drained out of that pool. Starting with y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, so that you have 0 minus 2,000 over 200 minus 0, negative 2,000 divided by 200. These two zeros mark off with this, and it's a negative 10. That means that water's going out at 10 gallons per minute. That's what that graph represents. On the next page of your handout, number 6. The cost of car repairs is $200 for parts plus $50 per hour for labor. What is the dependent variable? The dependent variable is the total cost of repairs. Independent variable is the number of hours worked. The initial value is that 200. It represents the cost of the parts. The slope is $50 because that's how much it is per hour for the work they're going to do. Your equation is y equals 50x plus 200. If you want to know how much that bill is you're going to owe, it's going to depend on how many hours that guy works. If he works for 4 hours, you plug 4 in there for x. 200 plus 200 is 400. The very last question says, if your total cost is $600, how long did it take the person to fix the car? 600 equals 50x plus 200. Subtract 200 from each side. 400 equals 50x. Divide by 50, x equals 8. He worked for 8 hours. Let's look at number 13. Number 13 says, Ann made baby blankets to sell at the local craft fair. She spent $60 on the materials to make the blankets and $100 to rent the booth. If Ann sells the blankets for $40 each, how many must she sell in order to break even? Y equals 40x. Now, minus, because it's going to cost her $160. So we want to know how long it's going to take her to break even. If she breaks even, y would be 0. So 0 equals 40x minus 160. Add 160 to each side. 160 equals 40x. Divide by 40 on each side. X equals 4. She's got to make 4 of these blankets before she starts making a profit. So she's got to make 4 to break even.